task is not to sing, because how you follow that, I don't know. It's already afternoon, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for that lovely number. The theme for this afternoon is Back to the Old Path. That was the theme that I was sent. The fact that you have a theme, naturally, it is my task to allow my subject to be framed by that theme. To be honest with you, the first thought I had after receiving the theme was, not everything that is old is antique. Some things are just relic and are better left in the past. The second thought, however, was decidedly less flippant, and I wondered about our collective fascination with the past, in juxtaposition to the many famous quotes that we have but accept as truism, admonishing us to forget the past. I think we know quite a bit of them. Never look back, except to see how far you have come. Your destiny is not in the rearview mirror. Hayes' version, when yesterday calls, let it go to the voicemail. And don't listen, as it has nothing new to say. Sounds profound, but are they really true? In context, they all have elements of truth, but essentially ask us to deny our experiences. And the truth is, there is nothing more potent in defining how we lead our lives, one way or another, than our lived experiences. As a matter of fact, one school of thought suggests that the basic difference between human beings and all other animals is that we have a history, oral or recorded, and we have access to that history. And access to that history help us to avoid the pitfalls that the previous generation fell in, and by extension, guide us in the future. Looking back, Millman says, we see with great clarity. You know, hindsight is always 20/20. Looking back, we see with great clarity, and what once appeared as difficulties now reveal themselves as great blessings. Viewed in that context, then, Jeremiah 6:16, the passage from which I suspect the theme was drawn. The old path is not just about old ways or old norms, but about evaluating what has worked in the past and using them as tools to navigate the future. Look with me, if you will, at Jeremiah 6. And let's pick up the discourse from verse 13. And let me know when you're there. And I'll be reading from the King James Version. Verse 13. From the least of them, even unto the greatest of them, everyone is given to covetousness. And from the prophets, even unto the priest, everyone dealeth falsely. They have healed also the hurt of the daughter of my people slightly, saying, peace, peace, when there is no peace. 15. Were they ashamed when they had committed abomination? Nay, they were not at all ashamed, neither could they blush. Therefore they shall fall among them that fall at the time that I visit them. They shall be cast down, saith the Lord. Verse 16. Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways, and see, and ask. Ask for the old path. Where is the good way? And walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. The Clear Word Translation puts it this way. Verse 16. The Lord gave me a message for our nation. You are standing at the crossroad. Stop and take a good look. Which way are you going to go? Look for the old ways, the old path, the good road, and go that way. The old path, then, refers to the good ways. And my task today is to relate that injunction. Ask for the old path. That are good roads related to health and wellness. If we look back at the description in verse 13, everyone is given to covetousness and dealing falsely. We see a description of what the good way is not. And by extension, its opposite, what the old path is. Where have we seen this before? Let's look at Exodus 20, and let's jump down to verse 16 and 17. Thou shalt not bear false witness. In verse 17, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor, and you can fill in the rest. Covetousness and dealing falsely are noted as character flaws in Jeremiah. Character flaws that inquiring of, finding and walking in the good way is going to guard against. It's already afternoon, and if you're like me, you're hungry, so I'll hurry along. If you look closely, we might find that those two character flaws, covetousness and false dealings, are not accidental. Back to the old path. Look quickly at the discourse in Mark 12, 28 through 31, and see what Jesus said there. He emphasized what? Are you there? He emphasized that there were what? Two fundamental commands. What are they? Love the Lord and love your fellow man as yourself. Those are the two fundamental commands. Love the Lord and love your fellow man as yourself. And a careful look at any relational conflict, or for that matter, internal conflict, is born from a place of covetousness, envy, is born from a place of false dealing. If you cease to lie to yourself, your internal conflicts resolve themselves. And if you are saved from envy, your relational conflicts disappear. Back to the old path is the injunction. You are standing at the crossroads, the text says. Stop and take a good look. Which way are you going to go? That invitation, no, it says stop. That command is for you to examine, for you to consider or think before you leap. For as a woman thinketh, so is she. As a man thinketh, so is he. The thought then cometh before the action. The thought cometh before the action. And since we are what we habitually do, our habits form our characters. Let's go with that again. Thoughts shape action. Actions, repeated action, or patterns of behavior, if you will, define your character. And if you extend the thought, character shape your life. You are what you think. I think it was Socrates said the unexamined life is not worth living. It says, look, ask, consider the old ways, the good road, and walk therein. Hence, Romans 12, 1 and 2 admonished, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by what? The renewing of your mind. The renewing of your minds. And for my students in here, long before any of what you read, I was a teacher. So every time I speak anywhere, I am typically asked to do career days. So I always look for my young people, and elder, we're in trouble. Okay? Because I don't see them. The age 18 to 28 is famously referred to as the forgotten decade. Because during that time, just about everything you do is going to determine what you do for the rest of your life. Think about it. Let's get back our young people. But I digress. For the students in here, if you think you can't, you're right. Your mind shapes your reality. And since our attention span can be short, And I don't want to ever leave this place without giving my young people a message. I'm going to ask for a young person, some school-age young person, to come and help me with an experiment as we demonstrate what we mean when we say, if you think you can't, you're right. And your mind shape your reality. Anybody, quickly. No? Volunteer? Come on. Can I choose somebody? All right, you're right up here. Come with me. Come on. Come. I should take that one instead? Okay, come down. All right, give her a hand, man. Are you right-handed or left-handed? Right-handed, okay. Now, I'm going to ask you to do something for me. I'm going to ask you to put out your left hand, yes? And what I want you to say is, I hate math. I can't do that. I can't do it. It's impossible. I'm going to fail. And while you're saying that, say it as you believe it. And I'm going to try and push your hand down, and you're going to try and resist me, yes? So I hate math. I can't do it. It's impossible. I'm a failure. And go right ahead, and when I try to push your hand down, you keep saying and you try to resist me. Come on.
I hate math. I'm a failure. I can't do it. I hate math. I'm a failure. I can't do it. I hate math. I'm a failure. I can't do it.
Okay. Now, what I want you to say is, I think I can. I can do this math. It's possible. I am going to make it. And again, as you believe it. And while I try resist, push your hand down, resist me.
What do I say?
I love math. I can do it. Yes? I'm not a failure. This thing is possible. Whatever comes to your mind that affirms your belief, say it.
I love math. I can do it. I'm not a failure. I love math. I can do it. I'm not a failure. I love math. I can do it. I'm not a failure. I love math. I can do it. I'm not a failure.
Thank you very much. Your mind creates your reality. And now you can go to sleep. And for the counselors and the therapists in the room, they will tell you that healthy patterns of thinking really work. They will tell you that there is an entire branch of therapy called cognitive behavioral therapy that specializes in helping to retrain the mind to think in healthy ways, to help us to maintain our well-being. Focusing on what works help us to stay well. And if you have not yet gotten started using cognitive behavioral therapy after the demonstration here, I hope the next few minutes will get you on the road. But I want to pause here and suggest that a new habit takes hold in about 30 days. And the brain is lazy. It loves to conserve energy. It loves shortcut. So habits, well formed, good or bad, are hard to break. You just have to think back to your New Year's resolutions. they're hard to break. And there are habits sometimes that we have that we are going to need professional help to break. And I want to suggest here that needing professional help is not an expression of a lack of faith. So if you find yourself in deep clinical depression, in anxiety, phobias, or whatever your mental state may be, and you need help, seek professional help. But I digress. Let's get back to the crossroad, where we are asked to stop and take a good look and find the old path and follow them. Philippians 4:8. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. Accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative is the catchphrase in creating patterns of new thinking. And while by now it's a cliche, it's not just a catchphrase. Mind is the master power that molds and makes. And man is mind, and evermore he takes the tool of thought and shaping what he wills, bring forth 1,000 joys or 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. Environment is but his looking glass. James Allen As a Man Thinketh, so is he. One night, on the streets of New Kingston, Jamaica, a pastor was traveling home when he suddenly picked up a flat. It was dark. And for a minute, he thought about continuing on rims alone. But he was strapped for cash and would not be able to purchase a new tire, so he stopped. Luckily, he said, by the time he came to a stop, he was across from a street lamp on a divided highway, and it was not as dark. He looked around, and except for a gentleman going dumpster diving and having an animated conversation with himself, there was not another soul around. He steadied his nerve, went about taking off his spare. He changed the tire, but by the time he had gotten on the spare, the lug nuts were nowhere to be found. And you see, the side of the car that the puncture was on was opposite to the lamp. So the car had cast a shadow. He rubbed his hand all around. He had no source of light. He felt nothing. In his panic-stricken tirade, he caught the attention of his dumpster diving buddy, who came over to inquire, "What's wrong, boss?" And the irony of telling his troubles to a mentally challenged man was not lost on him. But what came next was what was truly ironical. "Boss," he said, "with all your big brain, you're really fool. you have 3 other tires with 4 lug nuts each. All you got to do is take one from each and put it on this one, and your problem solved. Aside from emphasizing the fact that even the clock on the wall that is not working is right twice per day, therefore even the dumb has their story. It emphasizes another fact. Where we place our focus affect our mindset. Where we place our focus affect our thought patterns and hence our happiness. Focusing on what we have and not on what we lack improve the quality of our thinking and the quality of our decisions. Focusing on what we lack is anxiety-provoking. Gripped by worry and crippled by fear, we lose the capacity to think clearly. The parable of the talents in Matthew 25:14 to 30. Matthew 25:14 to 30. I think we all know it. And since we're short in time, I will not go through it, but simply summarize. The talents, as it says, the master was preparing for a far journey. He called 3 servants. One he gave 5 talents, maybe 50,000 or 5,000, I don't know. 1, 2, and the other 1. What happened to the one who got the 1? He focused on what he lacked. Lost the capacity to think clearly. Continued to blame the master that he wanted to reap where he did not sow, forgetting that he too was blessed. He had one tool that he was able to use and trade. Gripped by the fear of losing, he simply buried the treasure. One additional thing that both these stories reveal: worry is simply this. Worry is interest paid on debt not yet due. Worry is using good resources, tying up good capital, hence losing the capacity to think clearly to solve today's problem. Hence, your master says, cast all your cares on me, because he cares for all. 1 Peter 5, verse 7. Live in an atmosphere of gratitude, an atmosphere of thanksgiving. Because as you begin to count your blessing, a wonderful thing happens. Try it for 30 days. Try living in an atmosphere of gratitude for 30 days and see what begins to happen. Because as you begin to count your blessing, you begin to realize that things are not as bad as they initially seemed. Things are not as bad as they initially seemed. Steve Jobs, in trying to help future scientists and inventors overcome fear, remarked, "Remembering that you're going to die is the best way that I know how to avoid the trap of feeling that I have something to lose." What is he saying here? Death, for most of us, at least on this side of life, is about the worst that's going to happen. But hold on. I am certainly going to die. And there is nothing I can do about it. So, why am I going to spend my time fearing death? So if the worst is already certain, and I can do nothing about it, you're standing naked in the crossroads. Everything is already hanged out. There is nothing else to be afraid of. Why not then lead your best life and enjoy this journey? I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in good health. Recognize, back to the crossroad, choices are all we truly have. And how we choose, the quality of our choices, is what is going to determine our happiness quotient on this journey we call life. A final point that I'll make on mindset and decision making I'll reference a study by Nathan and colleague in looking at the signs of scarcity. The study was carried out among poor sugarcane farmers in India. And what they found was that the quality of these poor farmers, the quality of their decisions post-harvest, and if you know anything about sugarcane farming, because I can tell you about that, I used to be one, you get payment probably once or twice per year post-harvest. So after you reap, you get payment. So at that time, they had a lot of money, lump sum. The quality of their decision, they found, was no different from Warren Buffett's. At that time, when they had a lot, no different from Warren Buffett's decision. However, pre-harvest, when money was tight, the quality of their decisions plummeted. And that's the signs of scarcity. It's not that they were dumber than anybody else. Scarcity breeds scarcity. Focus on what you lack robs you of the capacity to think clearly, because worry and fear cripples the mind. Cripples the mind. As we focus on the lack, we are robbed of the capacity to think clearly. A focus on what we have. Focus on what we have and the things, the many blessings that we have derived at his hand. Liberate the mind. Liberated minds change lives. We have nothing to fear except we forget how he has led us in the past. Counsel to Churches, page 359. We have nothing to fear except we forget how he has led us in the past. I beseech thee, therefore, brethren, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Look for the good roads. Evaluate and take the good roads and walk therein. God bless you.